Let me finish. You had a monologue already.
I tell people that Michael Knowles is my internet dad.
Stop it.
We got a bar full of people, and you want us to debate HOAs.
Because this is America!
Welcome to Bar Fight. Tonight I'm joined by two libs.
That's my case. I think it's a pretty good one.
My first guest, that is Zina
You've been calling me a lib this whole time. I hate to break it to you. It might be a little bit worse than that.
Uh-oh.
Just be consistent. I've been very consistent.
Luke gets to finish his point.
I think this bell's rigged.
My second guest is one of the top names in online liberal commentary today, Luke Beasley. Here is how it works. We have each brought 3 topics to the table. The audience chooses the topics. The bell rings. We'll duke it out for that round. And then our highly sober patrons can come up to the microphone. Why are they laughing already? How long have they been in? They can go up to the microphones to pick a fight with any of us. If you want to fight me, you go to the blue microphone. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but that's what you have to do. If you want to fight either of my wonderful guests, you go to the red microphone. But do not wait, because there is a time limit to each round. We have over here, for the asker of the best question, a magnificent VIP table where you can have some delicious John Rich Redneck Riviera bourbon, and I think we have some Mayflower cigars. There's always... There are all these dumb rules in American cities where you can't, smoke indoors anymore or whatever. But anyway, I won't pay attention. Lady! Gentlemen, are you ready?
Ready.
It's round 1. Now we read the potential topics. Ladies first.
Thank
Look
you.
at this liberal man was going to cut off the lady.
Come on, Luke. What are you doing? Come on,
Take
Luke.
it away.
Zina, what's your topic?
My first topic is that Donald Trump is a sexual predator.
True.
Pretty simple.
Who cheers for that? That's crazy behavior. Luke?
If the Epstein files were actually released, not whatever the heck he's doing now, Trump's presidency would be destroyed.
It started out with crickets, but okay. My claim is that libs are ruining Thanksgiving and they need to cut it out. I actually wanted to talk about the other topics, but Mr. Davies, do we know which topic?
My ear's still ringing from this side. I think Thanksgiving won this round.
Okay, Thanksgiving. It's too bad. Maybe in a bonus round or something we can get back to one of those. Okay. It's very, very frustrating. We've all seen it anecdotally. The libs want to pick fights at Thanksgiving. Sometimes they don't want to show up to Thanksgiving. And sometimes they want to disinvite you from Thanksgiving. This is backed up by empirical data. There's a study came out, I think it was Deseret News, said that 40% of Kamala voters would disown a family member over politics. That is compared to only 11% of Trump voters. Then there was a survey from the American Enterprise Institute showed that 23% of very liberal respondents have, in fact, disowned family over political views, compared to just 9% of very conservative respondents. There was one final number comes out of, I think it was the Skeptic Research Center, said that liberals across all ages are more likely than conservatives, much more likely actually, to disown friends and family over politics. And I think that's mean and nasty and wrong. And listen, if I'm willing to have Thanksgiving with my liberal relatives, they should have Thanksgiving with me. Do you disagree?
Interesting.
I would say I definitely disagree, Michael, and I think it's because libs have a lot more to disown family members about. I mean, when we look at what the president is doing at our borders, as well as how we're treating, immigrants in this country, I think it's pretty clear that, there's something humane and immoral that's going on. I think that's what's mean and nasty. So,
okay, just on that point.
I'm looking forward to talking at Thanksgiving with my relatives about why their king is still covering up the Epstein files.
Right.
So I'm
Look, he's not king yet. We're working on it, but he's not king yet.
I don't know if it's going to ruin Thanksgiving, but like she said, if you're the one supporting the guy who's covering for one of the greatest pedophile rings ever, then yeah, that would be more disown over than what?
Okay,
for
so
being
on
liberal.
that point, he did just sign a bill with almost unanimous support in Congress to release all the Epstein files.
With
we'll
exceptions.
Get to that. We'll get to that in a
On
moment.
purpose, he won't.
I think so. You'd be willing to talk to your conservative friends.
Of
that
course.
Okay, so then really to Zina's point, I guess you say, look, we have a lot more reason to disown conservatives because we find their policies and their desires morally objectionable. But think about it the other way. You support abortion, I take it.
Yeah, before I would say second trimester. Yeah.
Okay. So, from my perspective, as a conservative, as a Christian, I don't support abortion. I think it's really bad. I think it's killing babies. I think even the fact that you would put some limits on abortion suggests you might consider that at least at some point too. So I am perfectly willing to sit down with friends and family members of mine who I think
cares?
support.
We're sitting down right now. What's the point? Okay,
right.
liberals might be too sensitive. I agree.
So
We're
you
talking
agree
now.
with me? So it's you and me against Zina.
Hold
No,
on.
Zina's with me.
Wait.
No, you guys
Wait,
are
Michael,
opposite
Michael,
sides of it.
Michael.
No, we're trying to stand up.
To
We're trying
finish
to
my
stand
point.
up for our
Michael, you
fellow
made
liberals.
the point
They have-
towards me, right? So you want me to respond, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
just to finish my point, Zina,
Right.
I'm willing to sit down, and conservatives are willing to sit down with liberal family members who we believe, correctly, support the wholesale slaughter of infants to the tune of $70 million a year. You
Maybe you
might
don't really
object
believe
to our,
that.
hold on one second. You might object to our immigration policies, but doesn't the principle of moral objection gut both ways?
Well, so the problem is, like, the point that you're making is not about human persons. You're talking about.
I think it is.
Well, personhood is defined by consciousness, and it's
No, it's
just
not.
a case.
I don't
Of course
think so.
it is. Well, okay.
I guess
so
we disagree
what-
on that.
What makes a human being dead? Like, when does a human being? When are they considered dead?
Not when they go unconscious, because then I would be dead every single night when I go to
but
sleep.
when there's no longer an ability for conscious experience to occur, there's no longer a human person, right?
No,
and
I-
that's not the case. No, let me finish. Hold on. I gave you a moment. So what we're talking about here is the sense that. Yeah, we're talking about Thanksgiving, but we're also
Thanksgiving.
talking about morality. So if we want to talk about Thanksgiving, we can also. Let's get back to
I
the
guess
morality point.
I guess, Zina, my broader
wait,
point.
Michael,
because I think you're evading my broader point.
Michael, let's get back to the morality point. You find homosexuality to be immoral, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
you wouldn't.
But I have homosexual friends.
Okay, but you wouldn't elect a homosexual to be president, right?
It depends. If he were just like homosexual in the British way, where he likes Cole Porter,
What if he was
went to Eton or something?
Okay, but what if he was homosexual in the blowing Bubba way? Would you elect him then?
I don't
just
think
interested.
Donald Trump is Bill Clinton's type. I don't know. we know a lot about Bill Clinton's preferences.
No, but Epstein seemed to think so, and in the legal documents that are being reviewed
yeah, I don't
right now in
trust
litigation.
Jeffrey Epstein. I guess. Would
Okay,
be my
I mean, I
conclusion.
trust legal documents.
I think you're evading the
I'm gonna
question,
jump in
Zina.
here.
I think you've totally
You
evaded
brought
it.
up Thanksgiving. I think you shouldn't disown your relatives except for some crazy cases. Family's number one. But
Yeah, we're on the
At
same
the-
team.
of course. But what is going to ruin Thanksgiving is that the guy who promised affordability is driving up costs, as even he's having to admit now with the reversal of his tariff policy. The Thanksgiving meals getting more expensive, I think, is more relevant to this
No, one thing I
discussion.
noticed-
Because we're all here, we're all here to discuss, so clearly none of us are those people disowning family members. It feels a little irrelevant, but the cost feels more relevant.
You're
now.
saying the point you're making is irrelevant. I agree.
No, I'm saying your point about, like some random liberals that aren't here disown family members. I don't really care.
No, Zina's actually saying she
Oh,
would
when-
disown
I'm
family.
telling you-
Wait,
no,
wait.
I think she was justifying
Michael, which of
why it
my
would be
family
more-
members have I disowned? I'm confused.
No, so you agree that liberals should not disown family members. They should show up to
my-
Thanksgiving.
if-
That 40% of liberals are wrong to say that we should disown family. So
Was
we
that the
all
stat?
agree on that point?
I don't think 40% said we should disown family. What was
Yes,
the stat?
40%
Are more
according
likely
to according
over
to
Are
Deseret
more
News, yeah.
likely to. Right?
Over
That was
anyone
what
who
she
supports
first
They would
Trump?
justify it.
Oh, they would justify it, all right.
40% of Kamala
That's not
Harris
me.
supporters.
I'm special.
Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to figure out, because both of you are completely evading the topic and changing it.
Wait.
So
How
I'm-
am I supposed to argue with something that I don't think you should disown family members? But if we want to talk about Thanksgiving,
Because
I have
you,
other points we can bring up.
because you, I don't. We're not talking about other topics. We're talking about the one that the people chose, and so you might agree with me, and that's
Yeah.
delightful for you. It means
Cool.
you're on the right side of the question. But Zina, I think you disagree, and so you're trying to avoid the question. My claim,
here's the
which is
case.
the claim we're debating,
I think
is
there's
libs are
grounds-
ruining Thanksgiving, and they need to cut it out. Do you agree with that?
I think there's grounds for, considering disownership when we look at the fact that Trump has been held civilly liable for sexually assaulting a woman named E. Jean Carroll. This was held in federal. she was crazy. Well, how come? Were the
You're crazy.
Were the two courts in 2 separate years that found him guilty, and him not having exculpatory evidence to prove that he wasn't guilty? Were they all
Hey,
also
Zina,
insane?
when did Donald Trump assault E. Jean Carroll?
I'm not sure what the date
90s.
was. but
Neither
I'm
is
sure
E.
what the
Jean
decision-
Carroll, because she doesn't know if it's 95 or 96.
Okay,
and she
so-
only reported
Okay,
it
wait,
23 or 24 years later.
Wait, Michael. Do you or do you not support like our court system? Like, do you agree that our
I
court
think courts
system-
sometimes make mistakes, and I think...
And what evidence do you have of the mistake that they've made? in
Okay,
their
here's my
decision?
evidence, because you keep changing the topic because you don't want to discuss the point that the people asked for. That's fine. That's fine.
I did explain.
E. Jean Carroll herself cannot tell you when the alleged sexual assault in Bergdorf Goodman occurred. She then reported it only 23 or 24 years later. She then went on Anderson Cooper's show when she was reporting this and said that rape is sexy. It was so weird that Anderson Cooper had to cut to commercial. This then was reported by George Stephanopoulos in ABC. He said that Trump was liable for rape, and ABC News and George Stephanopoulos had to pay Trump $16 million for defamation because that wasn't
Now
true.
you have
so
to,
I don't find her
now
credible.
you have to let me, since you made a bunch of points on that, respond to it. Put in all these events. He's on tape saying, "Oh, I got it was a joke." Okay, then he is found civilly liable.
He's on tape saying what?
Wait.
Okay, I don't think we talked about my point.
And
So
then-
I think. Well, hold on. We have to ask who won. So if you agree, I don't even know what sides we're on here. I guess if you
Who
agree
won the
with
claim?
if you
No one
agree with
disagrees
me
with.
and Luke, I guess is on my side. You raise the red sign, and if you agree with Zina, you raise the blue sign.
Got some good
I
people.
see. I would say there's a couple of blues there. Is that blue down there yet too? And then the rest is red. Okay, I think that goes to us. Good job, Luke. Now we cut for questions.
Yes, I think that in the idea of disowning your family and the borders and all those things, I think the liberal heart is the compassion is misplaced because we're not concerned about all these children that have been come across the border who were given a number that they call and no one answered. They've been abused, they've been sexually trafficked, they've been lost. We don't even know where they are. So if you have the compassion for them, you should have the compassion for closing the borders and taking care of their own country to help them get a better life and a better life in their own country with the things that they need. We can partner with those countries.
Charity begins at home. Do you agree?
Answer that?
Yeah.
So, obviously, we should have a secure border. Obviously.
All right. Are you
And-
on the Republican
wait,
side of that?
wait,
Hold on.
And we can both have a secure border and then separately not ignore due process, which is completely unrelated to what you're talking about, which is what Trump has done. And deporting people without due process who had legal asylum cases to prisons in El Salvador to rot there forever is completely against everything America's supposed to stand for. So let's have both.
I completely
Americans are
agree.
supposed to stand
And due
for
process.
Latin American gangsters. Okay, I didn't read that in the
There was
Federalist.
zero. Wait. Explain what evidence against Andre Hernandez Romero was there that he was a gang member?
The gangster case
You can't
that
name
made
it.
the
You can't
gangster
name it.
case
There
that
was
made
no evidence against him because he was a lawful asylum seeker
Hold on.
who had
Was-
come to the border checkpoint legally, who didn't illegally cross the border. Exactly.
Was he-
And
was he-
he ended up being sent because of a mistake, not the one you're thinking of, the other guy. I'm talking
What's the
about
other guy's
Andre.
name?
You know his name.
Listen
You
to
know
how he
it so
demeans
well.
the
You know
poor
him. But
refugees
no,
and
I was
asylum
saying,
seekers.
That's who you're going to bring up. That's not who I'm bringing up. Bring up Andrew. I know his name. You don't know anything about him, and you're fine with our government sending him to a prison.
Yeah.
Indefinitely.
So you bring up
which
one
is
of the-
against every basic international law and what America's supposed to stand for. So to the question,
Hold on.
secure border and
But you asked about this
lawful
guy.
immigration
You
policy.
asked about this guy,
Yeah.
and I think it's very important. It's true. We don't know the names of all of the 20 million illegal aliens who are in this country.
He wasn't an
who
illegal
need-
alien.
Who need to
You're
be.
making random points. He wasn't an
He was an
illegal
American
alien.
citizen?
He wasn't an American citizen either.
He
You know
had
there's
a green
difference,
card?
right?
Did he have-
There's a difference.
did
he
he
had
have
a
a green
lawful
card?
immigration case.
No, you said he was seeking asylum.
And he hadn't entered illegally, so he's not illegal.
He had no right to be in the United States. You're
No,
saying he was
did.
seeking
I'm
asylum.
saying he went lawfully to a checkpoint,
Yeah.
applied, and his
Not-
case was pending.
Yeah, you could have like Osama walking through with a Tren de Aragua membership card.
making
He can
random-
lawfully
you're
go
making
to a
random-
checkpoint. It
So,
doesn't mean you have any
Michael,
right to be in the United States.
Michael, you
that's
do
so embarrassing.
understand that illegal immigrants are less likely to commit crimes in this country than in the legal citizens. That is 100% true. And none of your
Hold on, what did you just call them? Zina, what did you just call them?
Right, so
Hold on, what did you just call them?
undocumented immigrants.
No, that's not what you called them. You called them illegal immigrants.
So-
I think you gave the game away.
I think both of us care
Illegal
a little
means
bit,
unlawful.
We care a little bit more about.
Here's the problem. Undocumented immigrants who come to this country fleeing, oftentimes war-ridden countries, oftentimes that have been intervened from America, right? Come to this country and they are less likely to commit violent crimes than any of the rest of you sitting in this bar. That is a fact that you can fact check on.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
don't
the
know about
problem.
that.
And the problem is there has been a narrative spread about illegal immigrants to make them seem as if there's some kind of villain in this country that are somehow,
They broke the law. It's
when
kind of
your
villainous.
lights shut off, when your electricity doesn't work, damn, it's those damn immigrants somewhere out there. They're always lurking. That's the problem.
I don't
right?
blame them for that. I blame them for high prices and abusive welfare and
what
some
we
crime.
realize, though, is that they're doing the jobs that everyday Americans don't want to do. The jobs that pay, lesser wages. The problem is when you
We
push
need
them
cheap
out,
slave labor,
when you
so
push-
bring in those refugees.
When
That's
you
what
push
we're going
them
to use them
out,
for.
other Americans are still doing that labor, and that's a fault of our system. But pushing them out continues to make worse living conditions for millions of people.
They're doing that labor for living
So-
wages. That's a pretty good idea. I
That's
support
not
that.
true.
Actually. Okay, next question.
But okay.
This question is for Zina. I'm assuming you're a supporter of Black Lives Matter.
I do believe Black Lives Matter, yes.
Okay, good. So if you're in favor of protecting Black lives, where do you believe the most dangerous place in our country is right now for Black children?
That depends. Probably at the hands of law enforcement. I think that would be like the worst place for a lot of Black children to be. But,
Okay, so according to the CDC, 17 million Black babies have been aborted since Roe v. Wade. That's 35% of the current Black population in America. So if
Unfortunately-
you really care about Black Lives Matter, wouldn't you want to protect the millions of babies that are being slaughtered by their parents?
Yeah. So the only problem is when you're with your girlfriend and she needs to get a plan B, we don't kind of charge her with murder, right? That's because fetuses don't have personhood.
Who needs to get a Plan B? It's an abortion drug.
A lot of people.
Yeah,
You
why
don't
would
need
someone
to. You
use-
could just
What do
have
you
the
mean?
kid.
You could, or you can also, engage in your rights and get a plan B, like a lot of Americans.
You could kill your kid, but he's saying that's bad, and it's bad specifically
So
for Black people.
any women in here who have IUDs, you could be considered a murderer, according to Michael Knowles.
No, IUDs are not necessarily
Of
abortifacient
course they
the
are.
way that Plan B are.
In many different cases, IUDs will actually remove
I don't support those
the
either,
eggs,
but they're
the
different than
eggs
Plan B.
fertilized eggs from the uterus, and
From
that could lead
implantation.
to, or implantation, you're right.
Yeah.
And that would lead to a baby no longer being able to be conceived. So yes, that would be considered a murder of a human person, right? That would be equal to any of the lives in here, which isn't the case. If we had like 50 fetuses just like stacked up on this table, and we took 50 people from the audience, would you say like these lives are worth the same? Are those lives the same?
I think all human life has equal dignity. Yeah.
So if we said, okay, let's take Luke over here. If we said Luke or one fetus, like literally sitting like on the table,
Zina,
which one would you say?
when do human beings...
I like
Which one do you
Luke.
think?
Come on, that's not nice. She didn't even ask the question yet.
Which one would you, if you had to choose between saving the life of Luke or a fetus sat on this table, which one would you choose, Michael?
Zina, when do you believe that human beings
Fetus,
get
I know,
rights?
that's tough. Okay, next question.
That sums everything up. Thank you.
Someone asked me a question. You can
Hi.
all the attention.
I have a question. Well, it's not really a question, more of a statement that you can answer to the libs. So I just became a mother, and 2 months ago, greatest joy of my life. And
Yeah.
so feminism says that it takes a strong, independent woman to have a career. I already have a decent career, but that wasn't that hard. Becoming a mother takes a strong, independent woman. Let me just say. I had a natural birth. The question is, do you really think that being a strong, independent woman is being a career woman who had a few abortions? Or is being a mother really feminist?
I'm really curious what you think liberals believe. I'm very proud of you on your motherly journey, and I wish you the best. And I think it takes a lot of bravery and courage to be a mother and a lot of work, and it's a beautiful thing. And liberals, at least correct liberals, don't believe that you shouldn't, if you want to, create the most beautiful thing, a family. What we believe is that you should have the choice and the freedom to do that, or to pursue a career, or to pursue a career for a while and have kids, or both. And that freedom is something that, I don't know where Michael specifically stands, but some people in his cohort don't like the idea of and want way more rigid enforcement. We want freedom, and I love that you became a mother. I love that you said you also achieved things in your career, and the choice for your own life path is what liberals believe in.
Thank you. Here's the only problem with that, is that my Instagram feed calls it propaganda when other women promote being mothers.
That's because Instagram needs you to be upset and stay on the platform, so it shows you random nobodies who don't really represent the mainstream liberal view to get you upset, so you'll keep using their app.
Now, hold on, Luke. I'm glad that you're moderate and relatively reasonable as far as libs go. But I think this is ignoring pretty widespread left-wing demonstrations that say shout your abortion.
Okay.
Planned Parenthood goes out, says you can have as many abortions as you want or need. These are mainstream groups.
Articulate. If you actually look at people in positions of authority, obviously we have a very different stance on abortion, but about uplifting families and enhancing the child tax credit, Democrats stand for that. Republicans want to cut those programs. Pro-family. That's us.
Trump did just expand the child tax credit, but we'll get to that in some later topic. Okay, so who do you think won the first round? Now you can, I guess I don't even know what the questions really were about. Would you say, do we get the blue for the libs, red for, is it tie? Is it a tie? I'm seeing more red if I'm being real. But that was a very reasonable answer by liberal standards. That was very good. Okay, who do we think the VIP questioner was? Who gets to go to the VIP table and drink delicious Redneck Riviera bourbon? The mom gets it. The mom is going to drink 9 months worth of bourbon tonight, baby. Here we go. All right. Now, you know what I find pairs very well with motherhood and bourbon? Delicious Good Ranchers meat. While our VIP gets her seat before an actual brawl breaks out between Luke and Zina, maybe. I don't know, Luke is kind of like a conservative here. Before that happens, everyone should sit down right now. Everyone should agree what makes any fight night better, that is delicious steak. Not just any steak, Good Ranchers steak, 100% American raised, delivered right to your door. Now, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, nobody is turning down a sizzling, perfectly grilled, juicy, delicious steak. That is why, when I fire up the grill, I actually have my wife do the grilling. That's kind of feminist of me. I know that I am serving 100% American raised meat, top quality. I get it delivered right to my door. Let me bring the audience into this. Give me a shout if you've ever tried disgusting grocery store meat and instantly regretted it. Yeah, you see that? That's bipartisan disappointment. Good Ranchers fixes that. They're flexible with delivery, just like our unpredictable debates. Order, pause, delay, cancel anytime. Even if you lose tonight, you win at dinner. Listen up. If you go to goodranchers.com, use code Knowles, you get $40 off your first box, $30 off your second, $30 off your third. And, my friends, this is where you can cheer. Free meat for life when you subscribe. Whether you're debating voter ID or foreign policy, make sure the steak on your table is as good as your arguments. Head over to goodranchers.com. Use code Knowles, K-N-W-L-E-S. Are we ready for round two? Okay, now we're going to read our topics. I have to urge my guests here. We'll try to stick to the topic, not some of the other. We'll try to stick to whichever one gets picked. Ladies first.
All right, claim 2 is that toxic masculinity is ruining young men.
All right.
That was a cheer from the most toxic man in this bar. Luke?
All right, my claim 2 is Republicans are much worse for the economy than Democrats. Everyone cheer real loud for that. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. My claim is that we should ban porn. Yeah, there we go. Wow, all right.
No.
Wow.
I don't care.
Wait,
I don't know.
guys.
Do we have, there were cheers for the economy one. Is there, what do we got?
There was cheers across the board. What did it sound like up there? Because back here, I'm getting
Economy
like 2
was
people
really
yelling
loud.
into it.
Mine was really loud.
Wait, you
I've never been to a bar where the cheers are
Toxic
economy.
masculinity?
Economy.
Toxic masculinity? Toxic masculinity.
Okay, so we're doing economy.
Because it's near Thanksgiving, and Luke said he would come to my Thanksgiving dinner, I will put my
Not
aside
you.
for a
My
moment.
family.
We can talk about the economy. What's your argument?
All right, let's go. So, I'm sure a bunch of people in this bar don't know this. I think everyone's worldview, our politics should be structured on just a rational approach to public policy. The most important issue in all of our lives is the economy. And almost all Americans, or probably a majority, misunderstand the records between Republicans and Democrats on the economy over the last century, Michael. And I'd like to hear you respond to this in a second. The last century, the economy has fared way better on GDP growth, unemployment, job growth, etc. All of the metrics you can find. The last century under Democrats compared to Republicans, even when you control for
Under
who was
Democrat
in-
presidents, you mean?
No, even when you control for what about who was in the House, who was in the Senate, time and time again, Democratic administrations and better under unified Democratic government.
So always Democrats in the White House.
Democrats in the White House.
Yeah, okay.
The economy performs better over and over again. Recessions are way more likely to happen under Republicans. We're seeing this right now with Trump. A bunch of people voted for him to help their economic situation, and then he came in and implemented these insane and irrational tariffs on everyone in the world and penguins, and is driving prices up. And doesn't understand how tariffs work. Doesn't
Tariffs
even know.
were deflationary according to the San
Tariffs
Francisco
don't even
Fed last
know-
week,
He doesn't
but
even
that's
know
okay.
who pays
That's
the
not
tariffs.
true.
So, the clearest stat is that every single economist, conservative or not, says Democrats are better for the economy. You can even ask Grok and gives you the same answer. So I
Grok
would like
says
to ask
so,
you,
okay.
because it is, well, it's Elon's, because exactly. And Elon's AI now says like he has a sexy body or something. So it's pretty skewed. But I'd be curious to know, because Trump's landmark economic approach has been tariffs. And I know a lot of commentators who defend him have flip-flopped on it's just negotiating. It's not. It's not. You agree that he's completely lying when he says China pays the tariffs, right?
No, I think that the tariffs have worked out relatively well because everyone predicted that the tariffs would be inflationary. The San Francisco Fed just came out and said they were actually deflationary. We see that
Michael,
real
who's
wages
paying
are
the
up.
tariff?
You said you were going to stay on the topic. I asked.
You just asked me a question. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You asked me a direct question. I
but then you
responded
gave an
to
answer
it.
to a different question. I asked you a specific question.
That was a total fake out. That was a total
who's
trick.
paying the tariff?
Okay,
You have to answer my question if I ask a question, Michael.
Oh, that was, man, how'd you do that to me? He could ask me a question about porn. So I'll answer the top
you watch porn?
Because it's very, this is one of those examples of lies, damn lies, and statistics.
All right, you're not going to answer it. I don't care.
Wait, hold on. Wait, do you want me to answer that question or do you want me to answer your broader question?
Well, you're just going to say a bunch of
You just
mumbo
keep cutting
jumbo.
me off whenever I answer what you
Yeah,
ask.
you're about to say random stuff. Okay, go. Sorry. Go for it.
Oh, okay, do you want me to answer the broader question or the specific
No,
question you asked
specific question.
about tariffs?
That Trump keeps lying, saying other countries pay the tariff,
About
not importers.
The way that look, I am an importer because I have a great cigar brand called Mayflower Cigars, and the cigars are made in Latin America. And so anyway, I know the tariff issue all too well. And right now they're mostly being absorbed by the companies; they're not really being passed on to the consumers. And so this is why the tariffs. The San Francisco Fed just pointed out the tariffs were deflationary.
All right, well, you didn't,
And-
again, you didn't answer.
This
But
is not
we have
true.
seen prices. We saw a huge softening of price increases. Then Trump comes back in, reversed the trend. Food prices are back sharply increasing. To my Thanksgiving point. It is true. It's
inflation's
true.
not bad at all. Inflation's around 3%.
No, no.
Real wage growth is around 4 or 5%.
Because it was
So
coming
we're
down.
up.
Inflation?
It was coming
And
down.
inflation was 9%
It was
under Biden.
coming down
What are we talking
under
about?
That's
Biden.
COVID.
Wait, coming
So-
down under
so
Biden.
hold on,
And then, that's what Biden handed to Trump, and then Trump reversed the trend, and now it's going back up because of his policies.
No,
In Biden's case, it was because of the pandemic that Trump mishandled. Trump caused a bunch
Hold
of
on,
inflationary things
I have to clarify
happen.
something.
It's
Are you
true.
asking me? Are you asking me about Trump's handling of the economy, or about your claim that in general the economy does better under Democrats or Republicans?
Oh, no, I made that point, and then I was giving you a different point about how Trump keeps lying. It's an economic point.
So
What you
hold on,
laughing about? Economic
are we
point.
going to debate the topic that
Michael,
that I
you're-
graciously let you do, or are we going to debate
actually,
some
I
other
would love
point?
to hear you. Are you going to deny that for the last century?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone Google right now.
Okay, so you don't have to Google. I'm a human being. I can actually just give you the facts myself. So
Lies.
So your point is that under Democrat administrations,
Yeah.
the economy grows more, the GDP is higher. And so this is one example of
Job
lies,
growth.
damn lies, and statistics.
Wage increases.
Which,
Unemployment. You just said
does
just
he have
GDP.
Tourette's or something? Are we going to answer the question or not? Hold on, I'll try.
Okay, all right. You just
Would you like me to answer or no? Are you afraid of my answer?
keep going.
You're afraid of my answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep going.
So this is true, but you would grant certainly that macroeconomic events also play a role in the economy, right?
Of course.
Okay. So the way that you arrive at those numbers, because GDP growth is a little bit higher under Democrat administrations than Republicans if you go back to, say, World War II or back through the 20th century. The reason for this is that you have a Democrat administration coming out of World War II. So this is a massive global event that leaves the United States as
Even
one
if
of the
you exclude
two
that.
main players. Will you be quiet
Even if you
while I
exclude
answer
that.
your question?
Why are you being so dishonest? Even if you exclude that. Even if you just look at the last few presidents.
He's interrupting because he doesn't want the facts.
You're just
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted.
Mumbo jumbo.
After World War II, you had a Democrat administration, so it inherits this massive growth in the economy because the United States is one of two superpowers left in the world. That starts to flip the numbers. Then you have, say, under the presidency of Ronald Reagan, you inherit in 1981 a massive, massive recession. Now, Reagan was able to turn that around on GDP growth, on unemployment numbers, on inflation. He turns it around. It gives us the Reagan boom, sets up the next 25 years. Bill Clinton comes into office. He rides that all the way through a once-in-a-century technological revolution, which is the internet revolution. He rides it all the way up to the bursting of the dot-com bubble, which is saddled on George Bush's numbers, not on Bill Clinton's numbers. Furthermore, George Bush digs us out of that hole because of the 2003 tax cuts. But at the end of the Bush term, you had the global financial crisis. The global financial crisis that was set up mostly by two laws passed under Bill Clinton, the Community Reinvestment Act of 1995 and the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, which repealed Glass-Steagall, led to the global financial crisis. Now, obviously, Bush's numbers get pummeled by that. You get growth, especially because of the energy boom under Bush. Under Barack Obama, Donald Trump then comes in, cleans up some of Obama's mess, and passes more tax cuts that lead to long-term growth.
So,
So
do you
I
notice
grant to you, one second, let me finish my point.
Okay, that was way too long. I'm going now. That was way too long. So,
I grant to you that it is true that under
just talked for like
Democrat
5
administrations, one second. It is true that under Democrat administrations, you can arrive at that statistic, but when you look at macroeconomic trends, you realize the statistic's a total
even if you
lie.
control for specific economic crises, even if you do that, steady times without external factors, still, and you're citing tax cuts, which have failed.
What is GDP
over and
growth
over.
on average under the Democrats?
Now I'm going to go. And a great example of this is, and as I explained, everything you just went there was a fun history lesson and misses the point that I made, which is even analyses that exclude for specific
You made a broad
crises.
point, and I inserted facts into that, and then you said ignore those facts.
And then you're not hearing the facts that I'm saying. You just keep going off of regurgitated talking points. So
history matters.
Yeah, and history
Says it
keeps
does.
proving that
When
Democrats
you're talking about
oversee
history,
better
especially.
economic conditions. And then a really good example of this is that we had the whole pandemic collapse. Trump mismanaged a lot at the end of his presidency. The economy was in this
You're
chaos.
blaming Trump for COVID?
And then
For a
I'm saying
Chinese virus?
his handling of it. Just listen, and then you'll be able to hear it better. And then that he hands this crisis, obviously, to Biden. And then throughout Biden's term, every single economic analysis shows that we were outperforming every other nation in getting inflation down. The speed we brought it down because it was a global phenomenon. You're talking about macroeconomics. You'll never apply that to Biden's economics. And then the recovery in general across all economic metrics, Biden way outperformed both expectations and every other country in the G7. And none of y'all ever acknowledged that. And then he hands an economy that had job growth throughout his entire presidency. The last job loss month was at the end of Trump's term. He hands that to Trump, and lo and behold, within
During
a few...
COVID.
Wait.
I think you're kind of making my point.
Listen, wait. The last point. No.
right.
And then Trump loses jobs right when he gets back into office this term.
Here we go. Okay. Now, does Zina have a point? I would like, Zina, would you like to weigh in at all?
Hi, I'm here too.
She concurs.
You know, a lot of what Luke said, you know, I gotta agree with the other lib, but another point, I just really want to get this question answered. Michael, who eats the tariff cost?
So tariffs are absorbed right now. It can be a number of people, but right now the tariffs are being absorbed by the companies.
Americans.
I know this because I'm one of them.
Why-
By Americans. Right.
Well, I'm an American. that's true. So, yeah, but also by foreign companies.
By working class Americans, according to the CBO and according to the Federal
No,
Reserve.
the tariffs were deflationary according to the San Francisco Fed. It came out last week.
So it's like, it's really interesting because whenever you pull up a stat, it's directly like contradictory to every big economist.
Which economist?
So again, we're talking about like these big...
Which economists would you want to name?
I'm talking about the Congressional Budget Office.
Can you not name one of those economists you're referring to?
Mark Zandi, as well. Do you know who Mark Zandi is?
Mark Zandi. Tell me about Mark.
Mark Zandi explains how Trump's policy is not only expected to increase inflation another 1% next year.
Expected to. But we're talking about real costs right now.
Let me finish. Because you had a monologue already. So let me
In
continue.
answer to his silly point.
So let me answer to your point now. So Mark Zandi, not only does he project inflation increasing, but it's already increased from before due to his tariffs, as well as the fact that he notes that these tariffs are being majorly eaten by American because of the fact that our goods are being priced higher because corporations want to make up for the profit, right, that they're experiencing loss from because of the tariffs, right? Americans look at your grocery prices. Everyone here buys groceries, and you guys know that there's been a difference, right? This is due to tariff policy. It's always been inflationary, and majority of the biggest economic heads agree with this.
Unfortunately, the Federal Reserve disagrees. Okay,
That's not true.
So listen,
Someone
what you're
bring out
referring
Google,
to-
please.
Questions. Here we go. Questions.
no,
Enough of Luke. Questions.
Okay, first, peace be with you, Michael.
Thank you. Et cum spiritu tuo.
So I think what all of this surrounds, and I'm going to go completely off topic, but it's all relevant.
I think that's the theme of the night.
Yeah. So I think there's three kinds of people in the world. I think there are people who believe in God and act in that way. I think there are people who are atheistic and they don't follow God. And I think there are people who know God exists but are actively seeking to deprive the world of God because they're very small, but it's just the spirit of Cain. It's just like pure evil. And those people, and they know that God exists, but they hate it and they want to take it from us. So do you think a group like that could exist?
I do. I mean, there's the occult. So there are people who worship
Yeah.
Satan, for instance. They're like witches and stuff. A lot of the times they are atheists. They're like edgy atheists who want to be really cool, and they end up inadvertently like worshiping the devil. So that's bad.
Do you think any of those people have positions of authority then, I guess? Do you think that the occult has penetrated our systems of power? Occult, whatever you want to call it, just
I think
evil.
Trump-
I think that's the real word.
I would love
I think
to
Trump is
focus on.
evil, and I think he took over the government.
I would love to respond to this, though.
Please, please.
You're talking about something that is a lot bigger than the topics that we have discussing today, and you can call it God, you can call it spirit, or whatever you want to.
It's good. Goodness.
But
That's what it is.
There is bad in this world, and what we notice is that a lot of bad corresponds with amassing huge amounts of power in places where a lot of people don't have similar amounts of power. In this country, 1% of the population has accumulated more than half of the wealth that exists in this entire population of over 300 million Americans. There are Americans that are starving, right, and have been starving and have existed in cycles of poverty for years and years and years that dates back to an era where people were enslaved and didn't have ownership of their work. The people who owned that capital that came from that era have generations and lineages that are still in power and still exist in that 1% today.
So what do you think we should do? Should we just
And
get
what
rid
I
of
think
them?
we sh-
Like,
Release the
what's your
Epstein
solution?
This is a really good solution. I think the solution does not lie. Well, this is where you've been calling me a lib this whole time. I hate to say it, but I think I might be a lib. No, not you. Sorry, I mean Michael. You've been calling me a lib this whole time. I hate to break it to you. It might be a little bit worse than that.
What are you?
I mean, I would call myself a leftist, meaning that
Tomato,
I
tomato.
believe
It's okay.
that. Trust me, it's not. I believe that this problem lies beyond party bounds, and it's bigger than that. And I think that this is a problem that has to do with class inequality, that breeds race inequality, that breeds gender inequality. All these things come from the same source, and that is drastic power imbalance. So I completely agree with you, and I think that this problem has nothing to do with red or blue. So I think it has to do
True.
with becoming conscious of this fact and banding together. This has to do with all of us. This
And
has nothing to do with red and blue.
Great point. And it is weird that I know a lot of people support Trump thinking that it's because you're populist or he's going to be good for the working class. I don't want to spoil what my next claim is, but
You love spoiling the
it
claims
is
because you
weird.
keep changing
It
the
is-
topic
it
every
is-
time we speak.
It is weird because Trump and her point about the top 1%, it's not that people can't do well, but Trump, in a time of record income inequality, just passed something that gives $1 trillion just to the top 1% in tax breaks while taking $1 trillion out of Medicaid. That's not a pro-working class, pro-average American populist thing to do. He's serving the elites, the same billionaires who were all around him at his inauguration. He is their president, and anyone in this audience who still supports him after him screwing you over and taking your money to give it to wealthy people, you're being duped badly.
Yeah, it's weird. Massive tax cuts also for working class Americans who voted for Trump in the majority.
The
Next
poorest
question.
Americans lose money and the richest gain in that bill.
Yeah, so I've had a couple drinks, so I'm going to keep things high level, not as deep as last time.
That's good. That's
and
good.
I also find common sense questions tend to be the left's kryptonite. I find myself a common sense individual, which is why I vote Republican. My question is, you said two things tonight. One, you couldn't go 3 seconds without saying no kings earlier tonight. And you just brought it up again where you said Trump's evil and took over the government.
I was being a little
I find
silly,
this
but-
very ironic and comical because the left tends to just want to continue to give government more power and more power and more power and basically just ask them what they should do with their life and how to pay for it. And you see that with the New York City vote that just happened. And I guess I just want to know where the common sense is coming from on, you can say no kings to Trump, who if he was a king, he wouldn't know, he would have just waved the wand and there would have been no government shutdown. And at the same time, ask the government to be bigger and bigger and bigger and solve all your problems for you.
Yeah, so Trump keeps expanding the power of the government too. I mean, he's the most authoritarian president we've had in a really long time. So you don't really care. Yeah, I'm about to explain it. Bill. Okay. Sending in, you just asked how. Sending in the military, for example, to America's streets. But where's the common sense? I can tell you where the common sense is. I think we should be allocating our resources to uplifting and economic stimulus, which is why the economy performs better under Democrats, despite the whole monologue that Michael went on.
The
there,
history
which is that
lesson he called it.
If we lean into demand side, which you had to come up with 100 excuses for why Republicans always fail in the economy. But the demand side economics, where you actually invest, where people are going to spend that dollar the quickest through social programs, people need it instead of just keeping it in an account somewhere. That's actually dollar for dollar way more stimulative. So I think instead of huge tax breaks to the top 1%, I think that we should be allocating those resources to, at the very least, not taking away healthcare from 16 million Americans. So I mean, that would be pretty common
Or
sense
just
to me. No?
funneling it overseas to random non-government organizations, right?
So, but what does that have to do with? Are you okay with millions of poor Americans losing their health coverage
No, of
because they
course
wanted
not.
to give tax breaks to the top 1%?
Of course not.
No, I don't think that
Well,
happened.
then we
I
agree.
don't think that
And
quite
Trump's
happened.
bill is insane for that. Then we agree. That's awesome.
No, I think there's common sense things you can do with every dollar Americans pay.
Giving it in the form of more tax breaks to the top 1% when they're richer than ever doesn't seem very common sense.
Hey, Luke, is
I
it
think
the
we
top
agree.
1%
The cool
that
thing is, I
benefits
think
from
we
no
agree
tax
on
on
that.
tips?
Like, there's probably a
No
lot of
tax
social
on
things
overtime?
there's a lot of things we disagree on.
Child
But the
tax
cool thing is, I
credit?
think on reining
Standard
in the power of the
deduction
elites, we should all agree.
Well,
You're listening
where
about
I,
you're
where
just
I
like a little
disagree
chirp,
is I
chirp,
don't
chirp.
think you have the
But
qualifications
I'm not even
or
referring
me
to that yet.
to talk
I'm saying
about
if you,
fiscal
do
policy
you know?
at all.
Do you know the combined? Wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
Where we disagree is I don't think I have the qualifications or credentials or you to talk about fiscal policy at all.
And you think Trump does? He thinks the word
I agree.
groceries.
Luke
has a
doesn't have
team
the. Yeah, I
behind
agree
him.
with that. Yeah.
He thinks groceries is like a new word that he invented. Yeah.
Crickets. Okay, next question.
That's not true.
My question for Michael is, what watch are you wearing this evening?
It's an ad.
Now listen. I'm an author. I am a best-selling author of 2 books, one that doesn't have any words in it called Reasons to Vote for Democrats. Hold on. I gotta explain it. Reasons to Vote for Democrats, which it's entirely made of blank pages, and it sold a lot of copies. And my thesis is being proven very strong tonight, I think. Then I wrote another book with words that was due on the same day as my baby. And because of the great sale, because Democrats sold so many books from me, and because of the great Trump economy in 2021, I'm wearing a Rolex Datejust.
Very nice.
So to be clear, while millions of low-income Americans are losing their health coverage because of Trump's bill, he's getting a lot richer because of that same
Illegal
bill.
aliens might be losing their health coverage, but other Americans are
That's not true.
Real Americans are not.
16 million.
Next question.
Wait, Michael.
Enough
You just
from
said a
you.
lie.
Next question, let's go.
12 million American citizens. Do you notice how he can't answer
All
those
day,
points?
he loves the word alien.
Hey,
Next question.
hello everyone. Thanks so much for taking all of our questions and for having so many interesting things to talk about. But in all of the complexity of conversation, nobody has asked directly, what is capitalism? And can you explain the differences between Democrats and Republican thinking?
I want to go.
Zina.
This is my thing. Everybody. capitalism is an economic system in which the means of production are owned privately. Think of means of production as factories, as land, as the things that we use to create, it's capital, right? The things that we use to create capital. These things, this means of production are owned by a very small few. Not many people own the means of production. Most of us are selling our labor. Like, for example, most of you guys have a 9-to-5 that you go and you get a kind of a wage back, right, from capitalists, those who own the means of production. The problem is we assume that people who own the means of production earn that somehow, when really the people who did first acclaim the majority of these resources, it happened a long time ago and they kept passing it down generations. The problem is people who first came here, they did a lot of bad stuff. They took a lot of land, and their ancestors still own that land.
They were heroes.
The people who slaughtered and a bunch of people and then took all their land and then started profiting off of it and then also selling people's labor and their livelihoods for money. Those are heroes. Interesting point.
The Indians slaughtered a lot of people too, if we're being totally honest about it.
Do you want to compare numbers? I don't think that it would look good, right?
Well, we won the wars.
Yeah, you won the war by doing what, Michael?
Well, by settling the land and building a great country that you live in and that you prosper.
By taking land that people were already living on, by killing them, spreading diseases towards them, and also women. So, yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
Happened all the time.
I have a question to your point.
That's what capitalism is.
I have a question to your point.
Republicans and Democrats both support capitalism, right? Of course. But capitalism is a system that is exceedingly failing as the gap between us and the 1% and people who own all this capital continues to increase. What's going to happen, especially as AI comes along that continues to be able to do your job, is that 1% of the population is going to own all that AI that can do your jobs. And what happens then when they can create the labor and supply it for themselves?
Okay, Zina, I have a question for your point. So you say that capitalism is where the means of production are owned privately.
Yes.
I agree with that. And you say that a very, very small number of people own the means of production.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how many Americans invest in the stock market?
No, how many Americans have the means to invest in the stock market? How many Americans have the capital
there is an answer, I promise.
To invest in the stock market?
What's the answer?
Majority of the Americans are broke.
What is the answer? What percentage of Americans invest in the stock market?
Not many, because not
62%. So most Americans own the means of production.
How many Americans are profiting significantly from the stock?
62% because we have the highest stock market ever.
That doesn't mean that everyone
Trump.
is profiting from the stock market.
They are. Everyone who's invested in it.
Most Americans
invested in the S&P is doing great.
Dude, that was a horrible.
It is time for round 3.
No, Michael. Who won the round?
Oh, who won the round? I thought it was a given. Okay. I'm seeing a lot. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of red. That's great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Who wins the VIP round? I'm going to say the watch guy. The watch guy wins it because he has good taste.
Where's the watch guy?
And now, without further ado, it's time for round 3. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go first on this one because I don't know if this is going to be a winner, and I think I'm actually on the lib side for this one, but I'm right. My argument is, they know it. They see it coming. They read my Twitter. I think that HOAs are awesome, and I love them, and I hate the actions. I could be dragged out of here and killed by the audience. Okay. All right, Zina.
All right, listen, guys. We've already done my third topic. Let's get back to toxic masculinity again. Am I right? We've already done. Come on, people. All right.
Okay.
We got a bar full of people, and you want us to debate HOAs
and how awesome they are. It got them rowdier than anything tonight.
Okay, my third claim is Trump hates the working class. You get the gist on that one.
That kind of fired him up. That fired him up a little bit, too. Mr. Davies, who was it?
Toxic masculinity.
It's tough because I'm in the corner. I feel like I'm getting biased. I got to be right in the middle for the decibel here.
Toxic.
What does it sound like in the middle of the room? Do that one more time.
Toxic masculinity.
But they wanted to go back to. No, enough. We have enough in our culture.
Toxic
I kind of felt like Luke's topic won it Trump hates the working class. No, you don't. Do you agree? No. All right, you'll disagree. That's fine. You want to do toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. All right, Zina, what's your point?
Listen, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women, and the CDC attributes this to hyper-toxic masculine norms that have been spread amongst Western society. So what we're seeing right now is that, and listen, where are all the men out here? I want to hear it from the men out here. Where are the men? All right? This is a woman, this is a feminist, right? Arguing for you. I don't like that you guys are not allowed to express your emotions. I don't like the times that you feel insecure or sadder and you can't express that. Where does that energy go? Oftentimes, that leads to men's deaths in bars when they feel this pent-up anger that they can't release in normal, regulated ways. And I don't think that's okay. A lot of men are turning to these podcasters who tell them these narratives about how women are out to get them. And that's actually what's inhibiting you from getting laid, let me tell you.
True.
Okay? Women don't like that. What I'm telling, let's be honest.
Within the context of marriage, she meant.
Let's be honest.
I think that's what she meant.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You want to get laid and you don't want to be sad? You don't want to be a hyper-toxic man. That's my case. I think it's a pretty good one. So.
Okay, so we got to drill down. What do you mean? That's a very loaded term. What do you mean by toxic masculinity?
I think toxic masculinity is an accumulation of norms that say things like men should never be allowed to cry. It's a sign of total weakness. It's a failure on a man's part.
Okay,
a lot of people say that. In fact, podcasters with millions of followers say that.
Okay, now I have a question for you. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So you're saying men shouldn't repress their emotions and they should have some feels. Okay, so curiously enough, there was a study in 2021 out of UCLA, the study. I said, no science here. So there was a study, and it measured emotional repression in men and what that does. And what it found out is that emotional repression in men is not correlated really with bad outcomes. It's correlated with better executive function. It's correlated with better goal-orientedness. It's correlated with better satisfaction. This was backed up in 2023 by a study out of Germany, which showed that emotional repression in men was associated with greater relaxation and less stress throughout all points of the study.
Okay,
Isn't
so
that weird?
you're telling me that suppressing your nervous system and not regulating your So your emotions have to do with your nervous system. You know
but
that,
they're
right?
more than
right?
your nervous
so
system.
yeah, there's
because we're more than
but
flesh.
that's a component. So why did you say no? Anyway,
because we're more
so
than
with
flesh.
that being said, so you're saying that suppressing your emotions and not releasing them, which means emotional dysregulation.
No, that
is
means
better.
emotional regulation.
That means emotional dysregulation. Emotional repression is emotional dysregulation.
No,
yes, 100%.
quite the opposite.
Do you know what
regulation, obviously, yeah.
Women and men are different on a mosaic basis. A lot of the traits that men exhibit in the brain are very similar to the traits that women have, and the vast differences in violence that are perpetuated against men cannot be explained by the differences that come from the brain. Biologists and psychologists agree on this. What's happening is that norms in society reinforce negative behavior from men. And once again, the CDC agrees with me, right? So again, when you call emotional repression, emotional regulation, you're committing a fallacy that's not only harmful, but damaging.
Let's just try to define our terms then, because that's fair.
Of course.
It seems to me that when I really want to have an outburst, I want to yell, I want to cry, I want to beat the table with my emotions. If I suppress that, and if I say, no, Michael, don't do that, you're going to look ridiculous, you're going to look like you're on the other side of the aisle, then what I am doing is I am controlling my emotions. In other words, and when you control something, you are regulating that thing. So that's what the word
regulation, that's not repression.
But
There's
you
two
said
different
emotion.
things.
I'm saying that's emotional regulation, and you said it's the opposite.
So right. So you cited some study, which I'm going to have to look up after this, right? That says that emotional repression is somehow emotional regulation, which is not true. Repression is something entirely...
No, it doesn't say that.
Emotional repression is entirely different. If you're talking about emotional regulation...
You just agreed with me that regulation is when you control something.
Yeah. But you said
but not with your emotions.
Repression is entirely different, right? I'm talking about these ideas of men not being able to exhibit emotions like sadness. Sadness is an important emotion that all humans, regardless of sex, experience. Can everyone agree that sadness is a normal human emotion?
Yes.
We feel it. Yeah, we feel sadness.
Okay, perfect. So when you experience sadness, doesn't mean that we need to have an outburst every single time. There are many different ways to regulate your nervous system. That includes deep breaths, but that doesn't mean that you should go your entire life as a male without crying. That is not normal, and it is unhuman.
No one says you can never cry.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, so let me just say, I think a part of too what you're talking about is there is a group. Oh, is there more drinks for me? Yes.
Another one?
There is a.
The real all-stars of the night, right there.
This is for you, Michael. There is a group of influencers who try to tell a generation of young men that the source of their problems. Just let me get through this, and I'm going to throw it to you.
I didn't interrupt.
that
What
the
is he
source-
accusing me for? I didn't interrupt at all.
Just getting prepared. That the source of men's problem is that women, like for example, on Tucker Carlson's recent interview with Nick Fuentes, Nick said the source of men not being able to find relationships is women essentially are the problem, and they're getting too loud or whatever. So I'd be curious to ask you, because there's a little bit of a debate on your side. Where do you stand on Nick Fuentes?
He's not like my best buddy, I guess you would have to say.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say we get along very well.
Oh, good.
No.
Wait,
But he has half a point on the women, which is that the problems in relationships are basically
women.
half caused by women and half caused by
But I
men.
never
out
hear the
here.
problems about the guys. That's the problem. There is
You got to listen more closely.
There is a whole message about how I guess they've just become too liberal, or they're taking birth control and sleeping around the town too much. And I think that a message to men about taking ownership, becoming better men, and becoming more appealing in the world is much more compelling than this sort of Nick Fuentes does about how, woe is me, my whole life is so hard getting girls.
I mean, over the half of the people in this bar are women, and I'm sure a lot of us recognize there are a lot of problems with the dating pool nowadays. I mean, there's like a lot of things that women can express that we have issues with coming from men, but we don't take this drastic stance that men are the root of all evil and they're destroying the world. I mean, clearly, I don't think that's any of our position. So it's really interesting that these incels and these podcasters are making the exact opposite point, and it's actually getting to the point where we're seeing men in bursts of anger, again, getting to my point, going out and actually killing women out of anger. We're seeing influxes of these cases, especially since, recent events. That's not okay.
I thought didn't you just say men kill themselves at a much higher rate than women, and men die earlier?
Here's the funny thing. Here's the thing. Men kill themselves and other men and disproportionately kill women as well. So when it comes to killing, men, they top the charts. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Just to be
men
clear,
are
we
more
love
violent
men
and stronger
over
than
here.
women.
We love them.
We love men.
Me and Luke are besties.
We love men. I just don't want y'all to misconstrue. We just want them to take ownership, but we love them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Men!
So look, in defense of some of the reactions to feminism that you're pointing out, I think for a lot of men, obviously anything that's toxic is bad for you, so no one likes that. But you have to drill down. So like to the point when you said that, well, toxic masculinity is when you don't cry a lot or whatever. I say, well, actually, no, it's actually good for men to control themselves. That's a healthy masculinity. And I think a lot of what men are feeling, especially young men are feeling, is they've been told for their whole lives that they've been told from their teachers, from the media, from the government, that they are evil, that there's something wrong with them, and that they need to be more effeminate, and that they need to be less
Whatever.
manly.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
think
weird.
so. You can deny it, but I think they've heard that. Luke gets to finish his point.
I think
He
this
started
bell's
talking.
rigged.
He started talking. I'm going to carry that around every time
There's
I'm
a
around
timer,
Luke,
sorry.
actually. You can finish your point.
What? I can't?
Yes.
Oh, good. No, I
Did you-
agree.
did you have a
I mean,
point?
you shouldn't be telling men you don't need to be more effeminate, be whatever you are. But I think it's more like there is a
cry.
whole group of
But cry.
people saying women should go back to being men's property. So that you denounce that, right?
What?
Nick
I think
Fuentes,
they should go back to
entertain-
being our wives.
Come on.
I think that's a good idea.
See, you
Okay.
don't even answer. It's
Next
so
one.
sad.
Yeah, I don't think they should
So
be property.
sad.
I think they should be
Oh, good
wives.
job.
It's more fun to have a wife than property. Yes.
Well, that's
Good
what
good
your
evening.
friends are saying.
How are you?
I'm great.
I also would love to talk about how Nick Fuentes is, but first we need to talk about how HOAs are, actually.
Hey! Now that'll...
It's a more pressing point immediately to my family. Actually, my family all lives in Pennsylvania. I'm alone. But regardless. Okay. Michael Knowles, give me your case for HOAs.
HOAs, this is what, now you're going to hate me for this. I don't care. Okay, they hated him because he spoke the truth, and I'm telling you the truth here. The HOA is a dividing line between the real conservatives and the libertarians, the L word.
Gay,
Because, let me tell you why. They say, oh, you like HOAs, you're a communist. Well, I'm not a communist. I don't want to live in a commune. I want to live in a nice neighborhood. And standards are good. I don't want to walk outside my house and see some ugly, stupid, lib Lego house that they keep building. I don't want to see some dumb pride flag. I don't want to see any of that, okay? And so I like local governance to say, no, we have standards in this neighborhood. I don't want them to build some monstrosity next to me. All home renovations make the homes worse 100% of the time these days because people don't have taste. I want the not just merely the individual liberty, really licentiousness to put up a bunch of dumb signs in my yard. I want the exalted liberty to live in a beautiful neighborhood. And when my neighbors want to screw up my view, I can tell them no. And I bring down the full force of Francisco Franco upon them.
That's awesome. So, if I have the obligation to obey the HOA, does the HOA have the obligation to subsidize my obligation?
No, you have to pay taxes to the HOA.
So I just need to pay them to obey what the laws that they set out.
Yeah.
And that you set out. Because you could run
As
the
a member
HOA.
of my HOA, correct.
I mean, after reconverting to Catholicism, I am no longer libertarian.
Now we're
no longer
talking,
libertarian.
Baby. You're about to be HOA pilled fast. That Catholicism is the first step to taking the H pill.
I do have an HOA, and they do subsidize like tons of stuff. But I also live in a condo, so like that kind of relationship makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but if
it
I'm
does.
talking about like a home in a development, like if someone is going to tell me, oh, your grass has to be this height, like, I don't know, you're gonna effing mow it for me if I'm a single mom with 9 kids? I mean, obviously, that's an extreme example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, listen, think about it the other way, though. Everyone always thinks of it as, I'm being controlled by the HOA and I can't screw up my house and put up a dumb pride flag or whatever. But think about it the other way. You get to control your neighbors, and you get to make sure that, like, crazy libs don't move into your neighborhood and they don't build a bunch of monstrosities next to you that make your life worse every time you open your window.
I'm a great neighbor. I want you to know that. I'm a little sick of this. But he told me we were going to do HOAs, so I looked up some stuff about HOAs that I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm very passionate that I'm against you.
No!
You're a despicable person.
No, I thought...
I'm sick and tired
we
of
were on
you.
the same side here.
No, I'm not. Now, the main problem, I think, is that so it starts with the developer, right? Then they hand it over to some group of homeowners. Some
Karens,
stupid
he said, some
Karens.
Karens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the problem with it, the reason why people don't like it is all the homeowners don't actually get a say in it. A lot of these HOAs have like 3 board members for a bunch of homes, and then they just lord over everyone. And no one wants that because this is America. But with that being said, there should be HOAs. They should just be democratic among all the homeowners.
It seems the masses are turning blue. I don't know.
Hold on, now what side are you on? Don't fence sit on an important question like the
this?
HOAs.
Where do I stand on HOAs?
You're with me and you know it. You just don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it.
It's interesting because I'm a person of the people. So it's like whatever the people
You're going to
want.
become a Republican to pander to the people, to the libertarians.
I mean, hey, I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm a grifter, but like, I mean, no. I would say, I don't live in a lot of communities where I'm very scared of my neighbors, like, putting up something that I'm so afraid of that it's, like, going to, like, lower
We love pride
the
flags.
value. You know what I'm saying? Like, put up the pride flag. I mean, that's personally me.
No,
I
you
know,
like- what about
I
a
know
Trump
the
flag,
audience
though?
is like, that's where I cross the line.
There you go.
You know, you're crossing a line.
There you go.
Crossing a line there.
All right, now hold on one second. I want you to go to BrickHouseSale.com. Here is something you do not see every day. Doctors running a Black Friday sale. That is exactly what is happening at Brickhouse Nutrition. They're doing 30% off everything. Their biggest sale of the year. We're talking about very, very impressive stuff. There's Lean, which is their doctor-formulated weight loss supplement designed for people who want real results without having to deal with injections. Multiple producers and employees at the Daily Wire have tried Lean, and they have been so impressed with how effective Lean has been in such a short period of time. Very important, especially as we look at Thanksgiving. There's also creatine that is made specifically for women, helps you look leaner and more toned without having to add a bunch of extra workouts or restrictive dieting to your routine, and Field of Greens, the only super fruit and vegetable drink that has been shown in an actual university study to help slow aging. They even guarantee you will see health improvements your doctor will notice. That is very bold. Plus everything else they make, better sleep products, superior collagen, all of it. 30% off right now. The catch? The deals do not stick around. Black Friday prices move fast. Go to BrickHouseSale.com, grab 30% off while it's still available. BrickHouseSale.com for 30% off. Next question.
I need us to start applauding for the lib topics. Because I listen to Michael talk every day, so I know what he thinks. I want to know what he thinks against what they think.
Right.
So please help me out. We're not cheering for them, we're cheering for their topics. I don't think that was clearly communicated before. Okay.
And you listen every day. I love that. That's great.
I tell people that Michael Knowles is my internet dad.
Stop
When I don't know what to do, I just listen to Michael Knowles and he tells me what to do.
Something's wrong with you.
That's great.
Real. Well, the only thing is I'm not Catholic, so I'm sorry, but...
Not yet, but hey, that's good. I'll take it. That's good. I'll
We
take
all
it.
love Jesus. All right. So my question is for you. I am a recently converted financial professional. I was a studio art major at Liberty University, lost my job unexpectedly, and then girl bossed my way into finance. I'm surrounded by men all the time. They talk about football. I don't know what the heck's going on most of the time. But I do know that there are two ETFs that people love. The Nancy Pelosi one, NANC, and the Cruz one, KRUZ. Since inception, 2023, Nancy Pelosi's ETF has a return of 19%. The Cruz one only has like 13 to 60% range since inception. My question is, your claim before was that Republicans are what for the economy?
Better. Oh, worse.
Better. That's a Freudian slip. If I know
Called a
myself.
Freudian slip is what that's called.
Okay, well, here's my question. If Republicans are worse for the economy, then how come Nancy Pelosi's tracker is doing so much better than the Republican one? By almost 3 or 6%.
Because Democrats are better at the economy. That's why.
No, because I think that
They're better.
is
better at
insider
speculation.
trading better for the economy?
No,
Insider trading corrupt information?
Yeah, so insider trading is horrible. I think Nancy Pelosi shouldn't be able to do that. I think every member of Congress shouldn't be able to do that, obviously.
Then maybe we're more in agreement than you think.
Okay, wait. Democrats have been fighting for that a heck of a lot longer than Republicans have. And the reason I don't like it is because it could lead to corruption, which is also why I don't like Trump's meme coin, his UA, etc.
Is UA what?
His AI, I should say, his AI chips deal
Okay.
with the UAE, and his open brazen corruption with funneling money to. So it's the same reason I don't like the Pelosi stuff or anyone else using their insider information. I think it should be banned. I don't think Trump would ever sign that into law. I don't think Trump should be profiting off of his presidency either.
So do you think, that's a very reasonable point, but do you think, like with Pelosi, I think we're all just admitting she obviously insider trades and it's totally ridiculous.
It's too good. People put that in their 401ks and they're making so much money.
Yeah.
She's like the best hedge fund manager in the country. But with Trump, it's not to say that there aren't questions, about, he obviously he's an international businessman, he has the crypto thing, he has all that. I'm just saying.
You're against it, though. You can't be against it for Pelosi and then for Trump.
No, I guess I think what Pelosi is doing is illegal for every American other than members of Congress.
Right.
And what Trump is doing is really not illegal in any way.
What?
So you might say you don't like it. You might say we should pass laws against it.
No, there's plenty of laws.
Isn't it
It does
also
get a
true
little
that
murky.
Trump is the only
Yeah.
president to take a
But-
pay cut in office?
No,
so why?
that's not true.
He's
Yeah,
making
okay,
so
sorry.
much
He's
right
making-
now.
His net worth
I'm just an art major, dude. I don't know.
his net worth has increased by billions just since he got in office. So, I mean, just be consistent. I've been very consistent.
No.
Be consistent.
I am
You
being
are
consistent.
obvious. If you did one story about Hunter Biden, you better be 100 times as outraged at Trump getting the UAE to invest billions, make his World Liberty Financial billions in a business deal, and then immediately, all of a sudden, he releases the restrictions on the AI chips that they really wanted, and which could then get into China's hands because he was enriched. Same thing with the Binance guy. He ends up pardoning the guy after Binance makes a bunch of money for World Liberty Financial. That's brazen corruption, right?
Yeah, I guess my point is
Just- yes,
on
no,
some of
no.
these. No, I don't. On a lot of these financial dealings of Trump, a lot of it occurred during the interregnum. The crypto thing occurred before he was brought in.
No, not the UAE deal.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you brought up crypto earlier, which is usually
But
the
it's
one
his
that most
crypto
people point
firm.
to.
I'm saying, how could you justify someone giving benefits to either people through pardons or countries through restriction relief after that country or that person enriches his family to the tune of billions?
Yeah, I think that President Trump has done a very good job being an international businessman,
What are you
leveraging
doing?
relationships
Why are you
for the
giving,
good of the
weird
United
talking
States. I think
points?
that's true. And what I
How
also
could
think.
you be wait, were you ever mad about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden?
Yeah, I was mad that
Okay.
the Biden family
Well, then I
sold
can't
American
take you
influence
seriously.
and
You're mad
fired a
because Hunter
Ukrainian
Biden
official
was
in
having-
order to enrich his son. Yeah,
I
I
can't hear
think
you.
those are different.
Biden you never found evidence linking him to Hunter, but even so.
You never found evidence. The money went straight to his house.
That's not true.
It did. It did. It Roe Beach.
A reimbursement of a loan. But after all of y'all made of that, a whole big scandal, and then Trump takes all over, and there's no ambiguity.
Yep, there's no-
and his sons are going around the world making a bunch of money for his family, and then he's trading favors.
Yeah, listen, he has a
in
very
the
successful
presidency.
business, and his sons are businessmen.
So
that's
do you
I
take
guess
back everything
that's-
about Hunter?
Certainly not. That was brazen corruption.
Why? What's the difference?
This is the
What's the difference?
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. Eric and Donald Trump Jr.
Someone in the crowd, I'd love to hear you explain that. You're so loud and proud, you don't know what you're talking about.
Here's the difference. Eric and Donald Trump Jr. have very long-standing business careers long before Donald Trump entered office.
They don't have
They
specific
do.
deals with people who need something from the government. They have new deals.
He doesn't want me to answer the question. He doesn't want me to answer the question.
You don't know what
He
I'm
doesn't
talking
want-
about. Trump, you know what? You know what?
I can tell you the
Wait,
difference
one
if you
second.
want.
You know
Okay,
what
yeah.
Trump's doing? He doesn't need big tech to censor or whatever. He's censoring the media himself.
Wait, guys.
All right.
Wait, let me
Luke,
just add
Luke
one
successfully filibustered on the Trump point.
I just want
okay.
to add one
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear who won that round. But I won't even. Yes. In terms
Just
of us,
missed it.
who won the round? Wow. I thought I was going to lose that because of the HOA thing. It
Look
is
at the
still red.
blues.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We have
Shout out.
We have two libertarians up front who are disagreeing with me, but the rest understand.
Oh,
I
that
think
was about HOA.
it did get HOA. I think obviously who wins the question round.
Wait.
It's so clear. My daughter obviously won the question round. Great job, sweetie. That
The
was
only
great.
thing is, Michael, I do have a question for you
Lay it on
and your daughter, though. I mean,
And my daughter.
she explained that she switched from being an art student to, I believe, getting into finance, right? I mean, according to you, shouldn't she be training to be a wife?
Well,
I don't know.
All ladies are training to be wives unless they're training for religious vocations or a sort of consecrated single life.
But isn't it
in the meantime, it's wonderful
Isn't
to
it
have
kind
both
of-
practical skills to manage the home economy as well as artistic skills
Isn't it kind
to promote the leisure of the household.
Isn't it kind of feminist of her to pursue an occupation? I mean, isn't that a man's role?
No, listen, it's very conservative to deal in the practical realities of a world, and she's a very young, lovely
you
lady.
do think
and when
that
she
she-
gets married, perhaps her
are
career
women-
will change.
Should women have
Okay.
occupations and pursue occupations in the workforce, or should they be
Generally
housewives?
speaking, and surveys reflect this, and common sense reflects this, women tend to be happier raising a family than
Okay,
working in the
so
widget
where's
factory.
his-
Generally speaking, generally.
You should drop out, according to Michael.
No, not
I mean,
at
how
all
does that
times.
feel?
I'm not saying women should get married at like 12 or drop out of school
I
or
mean,
something,
Michael
too.
is saying that you shouldn't pursue an occupation. You'd
That's
be
not what I
happier
said.
being a wife.
She's totally misstating what I said.
I mean, no. You explained that women are happier being mothers, so they should stick to being mothers, right?
This is a very young, lovely woman.
I mean, can
she
you
might
answer the
not have met Mr. Right
Can you
yet.
answer the question?
I am answering the question. I don't think women should get married, right when they pop out of the womb. I mean,
So,
there are other things to do.
you can-
They go to school.
Let me-
They can work jobs
Let me
for
be
a while.
let me be clear. So before I have a family, I'm allowed to have a job, but then once I have a family, I'm not allowed anymore.
No, you're allowed. It just probably will not make you quite as happy as raising a family.
I mean, I just want to
But
know,
you're
like,
allowed.
for the women in here, like, once you have a family, do you plan on quitting your job and then just? A lot of people. So we're getting a couple mixed
Love it.
opinions. I mean, I just.
Sometimes those live. Sometimes those live.
Right. I mean, I just think it's kind of ridiculous.
Still maintains the principle,
I think it's
though.
kind of ridiculous to assume that women's sole function as a contributing member of society is to stay at home. I think that women are.
I never said that.
I think that women. I think that women are duplicitous, and we can thrive in so many different domains.
Or duplicitous.
Yeah.
That means deceitful and two-faced.
No. I believe that women
That is what
have.
that means.
I believe that women have multiple. Sorry, I mean, I guess I must have misspoke. I mean, but anyway, I think that women have multiple different,
Freudian
multiple.
slip. I'm sorry. It was too
Wait,
good.
you think that women are
Go ahead.
misogynist or something?
Mama
Okay.
here, I can chime in.
Go ahead.
I think that women have multiple different functions that they can display. There are multiple different strengths that women can have.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, I
that it's
agree.
very interesting that conservative values seem to think that women should stop working as soon as they
have a
have
point.
I
children.
can't even
And
hear
I
what y'all are
think it's a little bit of-
saying.
I don't know. I think you're a pyromaniac in a field of straw men. Okay, do we have any more questions? No. Okay. Before we go, the VIP table, sitting there looking lovely with that delicious Redneck Riviera bourbon.
Thanks.
Do you have a question that we have not discussed?
Well, now I have two things because we just talked about that. Conservative women don't think that you can't have a job. I think it's absolutely wonderful to have a job that you get satisfaction from if you don't have enough like intellectual stimulation from taking care of a baby with ooh ooh ah ah. I definitely think that there's something magical about being home with your baby. Once you feel that pull, if you haven't had a baby yet, you just don't understand, and that's the bottom line. But once you do, it's a beautiful thing, and you'll definitely want to be home more often. Thankfully, I have my mom to watch my baby. So I will be going back to work because I have to at the moment, but the plan is to be at home with my baby when I can.
Well,
because there is something very wonderful about that connection with your child that you don't have with anyone else in the world, no matter how close your girlfriend group is.
Well, miss, you sound a lot like a feminist right now, number one. It's only feminism that would allow you to ever have an occupation, number one.
It's a little revisionist history, I would say.
Every single, let me finish. Whoa, guys, we were just on the same side a couple minutes ago. Chill. Now, number one.
The HOAs are over. We're in this territory
Number
now.
one. That was number one. Feminism is the only reason that women even have the chance to work ever. And number two is, feminists don't disagree. A lot of most feminists, I believe, have children. Like, a lot of feminists have children. There's nothing wrong with having children.
You know, there was a feminist debate.
Anyone who told you that that feminists believe that having children is immoral, that person is chronically online. They need to get off the internet.
So there was a famous debate in the early feminist movement in the 1970s between Betty Friedan, the American feminist, and Simone de Beauvoir, one of the founders of modern feminism.
I don't care,
And
Michael.
I know.
It's so boring.
But for the curious and intellectual people in the room, we're going to explain feminism.
No, we're telling you what we believe.
So Simone de Beauvoir,
We believe
the
it's a choice.
founder,
That's it. We don't gotta
one of the
go,
founders of feminism, they had this debate, and she said, "Listen, I don't think women should be able to stay at home with their kids."
Are you
And
debating
Betty
her or me?
Friedan- Hold on,
She's
my
dumb.
friends.
She's dumb.
You don't want to hear it because you seem immune
Are you
to
debating
facts.
her or are you debating me?
You said that feminism doesn't claim this, so I'm citing one of the foremost
Well, yeah.
authorities
We
on
are
feminism
feminists.
ever to contradict your point, which is based on your
you know what a
subjective
lot of-
opinion.
I don't think you would want to know what a lot of conservatives have said, because a lot of it has to do with racism and sexism. So it's like, I'm not going to define you and your values on the
No,
basis
you're
of
going
what
to
another
filibuster
conservative
because you don't want to hear my
said.
point. Okay,
No,
in my opinion, nobody wins a bar fight. Enough from Luke. There are only losers. So, who lost tonight? There's no winner. It's only losers. And we will have a show of cheers. You cheer for the biggest loser. What? Now let's start with... Let's start with Luke. Who thinks Luke lost? Okay. All right. Okay.
I like you, Luke.
You cheer if he lost. Who thinks Luke lost? It's very.
By the way, none of my viewers call me dad, and I'm really jealous of you.
Yeah. That's all right. They call you mom. They call you mama. Okay. Zina. Who thinks that Zina lost? Really? I would have voted for Luke. Okay. Now I know I might actually pay for my HOA opinions right now. Who thinks I lost?
Yeah!
That was one woman alone might have cost me this debate. It was me. Did I lose? Did I? No. Hold on. Okay, let's whittle it down. I think somehow Luke escaped. I thought he lost. Let's whittle it down. It's between me and Zina.
Wait. I think they just said that you lost, though. I think that.
No, but then they said no. Listen, I'll take it over the HOA. You say yes, no. Okay, hold on. All right, let's keep it fair. Let's keep it. I'm already disappointed because I wanted it to be Luke. Who says Zina lost? Okay. That's very unchivalrous. I feel bad about that. Who says that I lost?
That's not yours!
All right. The woman down center single-handedly cost me this debate. That's life. Okay. Thank you very much to my guests for being here. Thank you to the VIP table. Thank you to all of you. See you at the next bar fight. I love HOAs.